Good day, registered engineers, and welcome to our information session in coming to Australia. So this is your registered migration agent, Renante Sulit, with MARA number 1382407. So speaking all the way here from Melbourne in our national office. And I'm very happy today to give you some bits of information and of course to assess your qualifications if you are suitable for migration to Australia. All right, so RPS Migration Services is being managed by a registered migration agent, yours truly, and my license number is 1382407. You can find my details at www.mara.gov.au. So every migration agent who is claiming to be a registered migration agent is listed in that website. So it is accredited by the immigration. So you have to really look into the validity of the license of every person claiming to be a registered migration agent. So RPS Migration Services has offices in our key locations, such as Australia here. We have Melbourne, we have Brisbane, and we have Sydney. We have RPS Dubai, RPS Singapore, and of course RPS Philippines. So we have many branches in the Philippines, and we are also launching a decision-ready visa application. That means to say that once we launch it, we are not going to, or more often than not, the immigration will not request for any information except for your health check. Okay. Now we also assist registered engineers in the English preparation. So I will discuss that later, and of course the fine tuning of your competency demonstration report. So and what is that CDR? I will discuss that as well. We have the outstanding performance for registered engineers here in Australia because I have a 100% batting average in my 10 years of practice. That's why RPS Migration has grown into an empire. You will never see a Filipino Australian who is very active, who has these massive offices in key locations. So that's why RPS Migration Services is the one to beat. I am conducting a lot of seminars and consultations in different locations. So since I have branches in overseas, like in Dubai, I do conduct a lot of consultation and seminars, and you will see there is a lot of clients who are coming to us. They are now here in Australia, permanent residents, and others are Australian citizens already. So we have that in Singapore, we have that in Philippines, we have that in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain. So I do travel a lot on these locations. So you have decided to inquire at RPS Migration Services to know your chances in migrating to Australia. So we have so many reasons and why we are doing this. Maybe you are aiming for a greener pasture. Your goal is to settle in a first world country, and everyone has his own reason why they choose Australia. Of course, Australia is very near to the Philippines, and it's like 8 hours flight from the Philippines. And if you are coming here via Singapore, so from Singapore it's 5 hours, and it's a first world country that offers a lot of opportunities for registered engineers. And Australia is a family oriented country, and it's very easy to adjust your life here in Australia because of the support of the government. I myself am an immigrant here, and I feel like this is the best decision that I have ever made in my life. And that's why I am inviting a lot of registered engineers to come over here, to settle here, to work here in Australia. And because Australia is the place to be. When we talk about the salary of engineers in Australia, according to reports and according to my clients who are now working here, the average annual salary for engineering jobs in Australia ranges from $90,000 to $110,000. So that's a massive salary. So, but please note that RPS Migration is an immigration firm. We are not a recruitment firm giving you jobs. We are going to get the immigrant visa, so you will have a full working right, so you don't need a sponsor. You can work anywhere with anyone anytime. So that's the difference of becoming an immigrant rather than having a sponsor to for work, which we do not do because we are not a recruitment agency again. So that is the average engineer salary in Australia. Let's talk about the general skilled migration. So this is the program for the engineers, and this is where we are very successful converting overseas trained engineers to Australian immigrants. So first in the list is that your entry skill must be in the skilled occupation list. Skilled occupation list has a list of different types of engineers that can be used as entry skill, no? As entry skill in your migration to Australia. You must have a valid skills assessment, and you must have a competent English. You must be less than 45 years old and at the time of the lodgement of the application. You must meet the threshold of 65 points in the point system. You must have no medical condition, and you must have no unresolved criminal cases. These and more are the requirements in order to become a resident in Australia, and I'm going to discuss each of these requirements so that we will understand and how to comply with each of the requirements. When we talk about the skilled occupationalists, you will see here a few. So this is not all. This is a few of the skilled occupationalists under engineering professionals. So you'll see here the chemical engineer, materials engineer, civil engineer, geotechnical engineer. So in the first column, you will see the different types of engineers that can be used as entry skill. On the second column, you will see the numbers, and that's called the ANSCO code. And in the third column, you will see there the skills assessment body. Majority or 99% is under Engineers Australia, and the quantity surveyor is under AIQS. So these are the skilled occupational lists that are that can be used in our as an entry skill in Australia, and I'm going to discuss more that in the succeeding slide. So let's talk about the ANSCO code. So the engineering professionals are grouped together. So we have the minor group called the engineering professionals, and they design, plan, and organize the testing, construction, installation, and maintenance of structures, machines, and their components, and production systems and plants, and plant production schedules and work procedures to ensure engineering projects are undertaken efficiently in a cost and effective manner. So that is the description of the engineering professional, and the skill level in Australia and New Zealand is a skill level 1. What does it mean by skill level 1? So most occupations in this minor group have a level of skill commensurate with a bachelor's degree or higher education. In some instances, relevant experience and or on-the-job training may be required in addition to the formal qualifications. So when you say skill level 1 in the ANSO code, so it means that you must have a bachelor degree or higher qualifications, and it should be it should align with the Australian or New Zealand qualifications. That's why if you have like a bachelor degree in the Philippines, sometimes you need the relevant working experience in order to comply with the skill level. But sometimes, even if you don't have an experience and if your school is within the same level of Australian qualifications, Engineers Australia is classifying it as suitable for migration. So we also have the task include here for engineering professionals, and I will read some of them. So the tasks include the planning and designing of chemical process systems, civil engineering projects, electrical power equipments and facilities, electronic components used in computer and industrial applications, mechanical equipment and systems, mining and drilling operations and other engineering projects. So that is very general, encompassing all kinds of engineers. You will see the chemical engineer, you will see the civil engineer, the electrical engineer, the electronic engineer, mechanical engineer, industrial engineer, and different kinds of engineer, mining, and other in types of engineers. So that those are the tasks that are included in engineering professionals classification. So they are grouped together under one ANSCO code, group 2333233, and each of the engineering professionals has its own ANSCO code, a specific ANSCO code, which we are going to use in our skills assessment. Let's look at the unique group, no, of the engineering professionals. So for example, we have the chemical and materials engineer. You have the following unique group. So we have the civil engineering professionals, electrical engineers, electronics, industrial, mechanical, and production engineers, mining engineers, and other engineering professionals. So they are classified into different types of groups. And if, say, for example, you are a civil engineering professionals, so it has many ANSCO codes under it. So, and what we do at RPS Migration is that we are meticulously examining your papers, and we are going to get the proper ANSCO code for you, and that is very crucial. Say for example, you selected a different ANSCO code to your and when we compare it to your professional references and to the job description altogether, and it's so different, it is very crucial in your application for migration. Let's take a look at the unit group of civil engineering professionals under unit group 2332. So when you click it, you will see the civil engineers, the geotechnical engineer, quantity surveyor, structural engineer, and the transport engineer. You will see here that the first four numbers are the same, 2332, and then you will see there the last two numbers are different, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And from these different types of engineers, they do have their own skills assessment body. So the civil engineer, the geotechnical, the structural, and the transport engineer are under Engineers Australia, whereas quantity surveyor, as mentioned earlier, is under AIQS. So that is an example of the unit group under the civil engineering professional. That's why if you are one of them, we are going to select which one best fits your qualifications, and that is the ANSCO code that we are going to use in your application. Let's try another one. This time, the unit group 2334 under electronics engineer. So first, we have to know the description of electronics engineer. If you are one, electronics engineers design, develop, adapt, install, test, and maintain electronic components, circuits, and systems used for computer systems, communication system, entertainment, transport, and other industrial applications. indicative skill level, again, in Australia and New Zealand, must be skill level 1. That means to say, you must have a bachelor or higher qualifications. Of course, registration or licensing may be required. So that is very crucial as well. In the Philippines, we did have clients who did not have the PRC license, the registration in the Philippines, because before there was no board examination for electronics engineers. And over time, the Philippine Regulations Commission changed it and they required the the licensing or the board examination. So that's why here they use the word may. Registration or licensing may be required. So that is very crucial. So you're going to look for if you graduated where the board examination is required, or you graduated wherein there was no board examination required. Say, for example, if you are not licensed in the Philippines, but you are licensed elsewhere. Say, for example, you are licensed in Saudi Arabia, or you are licensed in the United Arab Emirates, or you are licensed elsewhere. So we can use that as well, because I am going to make a submission to the Engineers Australia, and I'm going to present to them that you are licensed in this jurisdiction, even if you obtained your qualifications in another jurisdiction. So that's what I'm going to do as your registered migration agent, and I'm very successful on that. To know whether you are an electronics engineer, we are going to look at your task. We have the design electronic components, designing software, circuit developing apparatus, and procedures to test electronic components and systems, and your occupation is electronics engineer. So if these tasks are in your job description as well as in your professional references, then you are an electronics engineer. Before, I have electronics engineer, but they were classified as software engineer, okay, or a business analyst, because electronics engineers work ranges or encompasses many things. That's why before they were being assessed by Australian Computer Society, but now they changed it. They send it back to Engineers Australia, even if you were doing such kind of work like software engineering and something or related to computer. So they send it back to Engineers Australia because it is the proper assessing body for these types of engineers. For the electronics engineer, so we have the ANSI code 233411, and the description is designs, develops, adapts, installs, tests, and maintains electronic components, circuits, and systems used for computer systems, communication systems, entertainment, transport, and other industrial applications. Registration or licensing may be required. So it is skill level 1, despite that the specialization is communications engineer, or army, or other. Okay, so this is a sample of the description of your job, of your skill, if you are an electronics engineer. So after identifying what skill we do have and what is the ANSI code, because we have assessed your qualifications, we look into your job description, to your contract, and to your professional references. We are now going to send all your papers to Engineers Australia. So Engineers Australia is the skills assessing body of registered engineers overseas. So skills assessment is required by the Migration Regulations Act of 1994 and Migration Act of 1958 in order to have a valid visa application. Without skills assessment, without Engineers Australia assessing your skills and qualifications, there will be no valid visa application, and you cannot proceed to the next stage. So what does Engineers Australia need? So aside from other documents, for example, your school documents, your employment documents. So we do have as well the English requirement in Engineers Australia. If you are sitting for Pearson Test of Academic, which I am going to discuss later, and which is also included in our service, you only need 50 in your listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So for purposes of skills assessment, so you can just have that kind of score. If you are sitting for TOEFL, IBT, it's the internet-based test. So you have listening 12, reading 13, writing 21, and speaking 18. And for the IELTS, you have here the band of 6. All right. So, but at RPS Migration, we do not see this as an issue because we have our Pearson test of English review in place, and it's very intensive, and most of our engineers got perfect scores in Pearson test of English. But this one, just to show you the minimum score in Engineers Australia requires for the skills assessment. There are different types of assessment in Engineers Australia. So we have the competency demonstration report, we have Australian qualifications, Dublin Accord, Sydney Accord, and Washington Accord. So some of my clients have Australian qualifications accredited by Engineers Australia. So there is a list of schools, there is a list of courses wherein you're going to get here in Australia in order to be assessed under that type. So the Dublin, Sydney, and Washington Accord are not applicable to my clients because majority of my clients are from the Philippines, or all of my clients are from the Philippines, and they have bachelor degree in the Philippines. And what we do is the competency demonstration report. So the bachelor degree in the Philippines is a non-accredited qualifications here in Australia. So, and also the CDR report is also used for those who have accredited qualifications but want to be assessed as if different occupation than the degree title, or they are applying as an engineering manager. So my clients who are under the competency demonstration report are being assessed because under this type because they have non-accredited qualifications. So meaning to say that those qualifications obtained in the Philippines, even if they are licensed in the Philippines, they cannot be right away. They cannot right away be recognized in Australia unless you've been assessed by Engineers Australia, providing the CDR. And I'm going to discuss with you what a CDR is. All right, so the competency demonstration report is a way of assessing whether your qualifications fit within an Australian occupational category and engineering category. To determine this, your knowledge, skills, and competence are assessed against internationally benchmark standards. So with our clients who are coming up or who are submitting competency demonstration report, they are very successful in getting their qualifications assessed and recognized by Engineers Australia. So the competency demonstration report is mandatory for those engineers who obtain their qualifications in the Philippines, whether they are licensed in the Philippines or whether they're licensed in some other jurisdictions, say for example in United Arab Emirates or in Saudi Arabia or in other jurisdictions. So CDR is what we are submitting, okay? And this is something that you need to write. So the CDR, the competency demonstration report, is composed of career episodes. Okay, so it is a written accounts of 3 episodes in your career where you've applied your engineering knowledge. So for example, your projects, project 1, project 2, project 3. So you're going to tell us in narrative the way you did the project, and the way you use your engineering knowledge in having that project or in completing that project. So it must include the title of the engineering activity or project. It must have the dates and term of the career episode, geographical location of the experience, and organization or employer name. Again, the career episodes is composed of three written accounts. Okay, three written accounts where you use your engineering knowledge. Say, for example, if you are a civil engineer, you've been working for 5 years, so you're going to choose which among your projects, or choose three of the projects wherein you can write. Um, you can come up with the narrative, and the flow chart, the diagram are there, and it must be written by yourself. It should not be written by anyone. You cannot copy that in the internet, because the Indigenous Australia is very good in detecting if your career episode is copied, if your career episode has been copied from someone else, and it's not. It's very crucial. It's fatal on your application. So more on the career episodes. So each career episode should be based on a project or a piece of work you've worked on or are currently working on. So it can be a project in the past or current project that you are working on. So in each career episode should be between 1,000 and 2,500 words. The majority of your career episode should focus on the engineering activity, include sufficient engineering evidence to support each career episode, for example, diagrams, photos, calculations, tables, standards, or software. So, upon coming up with your career episodes, you're going to submit them to me, all right, to RPS, so that I can have a look. So I can look at the technical side of it. Say, for example, if your grammar is correct, the way you are presenting it correct, are you complying with the technical standard of the career episode? That's what I am going to look at, but you are going to be responsible for the substance of your career episodes. So, are there photos? Are there diagrams? Did you use engineering terminologies, and have you done that before? So those are the things that we can help you, no? So with your career episodes, we are going to provide you samples of your career episodes. If, for example, you are a civil engineer, we are going to provide you a sample of the civil engineer. If you are an electronic engineer, this is a sample of a career episode. So you have to come up with your own. So we have the criteria. So the first thing that you need to do is just write, okay? Just write. Do not think about the number of words. Just write everything, and then after that you edit. And it's very easy for you to come up with your career episode if you follow the strategy like that. After writing your career episodes, you're going to come up with a summary statement. Okay, so this summary statement is an overview of the competencies you've demonstrated in each of your career episodes. Your summary statement should list each of the entry to practice competencies for your occupational category and how you've addressed them. Downloadable and complete the summary statement template for your occupational category is also available. So we're going to give you the template of the summary statement, wherein you're just going to cut and paste, copy and paste, because you're going to in summary statement we do have the what they call this. What we do have the key selection criteria or the criteria, and then you're just going to find that in your CBR. So you're just going to copy that and put it there in your summary statement, complying with the criteria, so that the assessor will know that you have complied with that criteria. All right, so this is a sample of the skills assessment program. The Engineers Australia will say, Engineers Australia is pleased to advise that the competence you have demonstrated, taken in conjunction with your qualifications from the following institution, all right, is awarded meets the current requirement for the following occupation: professional engineer, skill level 1, remember the ANSCO code; mechanical engineer, the ANSCO code, and the date. So the highest relevant qualifications is there, the relevant skilled employment is also there. So this is the document that we are going to show to the immigration that you have been assessed by the relevant skills assessing authority, which is Engineers Australia. Without this, we cannot move forward, we cannot go to expression of interest, we cannot even if you get invited, if you didn't have that one yet at the time of the invitation, you will have an invalid visa application, because others are lodging their own expression of interest or EOI without this. And then they came to me because their visa is rejected. Of course, because this is mandatory. This is a requirement. You need to do this first before you can be invited. Now that you have completed all the requirements for Engineers Australia, we are going to have Pearson Tests of English review. So because I am your headmaster, as soon as you engage RPS Migration, I'm going to put you in the next available intake, because while you are preparing for your documents, I want you to attend my session, and that is a 5 week session only. So to give you a brief overview first of Pearson Test of English, so it is a computer-based test. There is no human intervention. It can be taken anywhere in the world. It is facilitated by myself as your PTA headmaster, and the session is every week for 5 weeks on the weekend, and it is directed to achieve not only your skills assessment purposes, but also additional points in migration. So that is more on Pearson Test of English, and most of my engineers got a perfect score. The For purposes of skills assessment, we only need 50 points, right? But for purposes of getting a proficient English, you must achieve all 65 in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. But I want you to get all 79 and above so that we can get additional 10 points, and we can do that. No, I am your PT headmaster. Let's work together on this. It's easy, I'm telling you, and I can make things happen for you. Look at the result of another engineer from the Philippines. He is a mechanical engineer, and he just attended to me for 5 sessions. And then he took the test and look, 90, 82, 87, 86. That is a superior score, because if you get like 79 and above in listening, reading, or speaking and writing, you get 20 points in migration instead of 10. All right, so that is an example of how you can boost your points for purposes of migration. And this is another testimonial from our client. RPS English Language Review Program for Pearson Test of English is highly commendable. I only had less than a month of preparation due to my hectic schedule at work, yet I was able to achieve my target score with flying colors. RPS Review has unique system in place, up-to-date materials, and excellent teaching strategy that help me absorb the lesson and techniques with ease. For me, RPS is the top of choice for working moms, dads, and anyone with limited time for review. With RPS system, your passing score is guaranteed. So thank you so much for that wonderful testimonial of our review. Okay, so for engineers, I know it's a little bit daunting, but with me on your side, we can make this happen. So as soon as you engage, you are in the next available intake. All right, so after getting your skills assessment from Engineers Australia, the one that I showed you, I am going to come up with the expression of interest. So I'm going to lodge it right after the result of your EA assessment, and it must comply with the 65-point threshold to be invited. Okay, so invitation is electronic, and based on your assessed points, the higher the points, the more chance of getting invited. it is a pro rata invitation. So as soon as I receive your skills assessment result, I am going to make a portal in the immigration so that you will have a chance to get invited. So your 65 points will come from your age, from your English, from your experience, from your qualifications, and your status, whether you are single or married. So all of that must comply with the 65 threshold. Do not worry, because I have assessed that before you engage me. I only engage those clients who complied with the 65 point threshold. Right, so whether you are permanent or you are temporary resident, and the invitation is electronic and based on the assessed points. um, the invitation happens monthly, and the immigration has its own system of invitation. So it is electronic and it is based on your points. Say, for example, if you have 65 points and 70 points, then the 70 points will get invited first. That's why it's very important for you to achieve a superior score in Pearson test of English. What is pro rata invitation? Pro rata invitation is based on your classification. Say, for example, you are a civil engineer and your friend is electronics engineer. You both have 70 points, say, for example, but your friend was invited by the immigration first. It is because sometimes in their own ANSCO code, for example, for the electronics engineer, the threshold that they are going to invite is only 70 points, whereas in civil engineer, it's 75 points. That's why you are wondering, you are both engineers, but you are under different classifications. So that is what you call pro rata invitation. Okay, so as long as we lodge our expression of interest, so you have a chance to get invited. It is indefinite, but it will definitely come because I am managing it for you. So what are your visa options? So we have subclass 189, which is independent skilled visa, subclass 190, skilled nominated visa, and subclass 489, 491, a relative state or territory sponsored visa. So what's the difference? If the visa starts with number 189, 190, it is a permanent resident visa. Okay. Independent skilled visa, you can go anywhere in Australia. If you are 190, you are either nominated by the state or by the territory. So your visa has a condition, or you have an obligation, should I say, that you have to stay in that territory or state that nominated you. You have to live and work there for at least 2 years. But you can go in and out. It doesn't mean that you are not going in and out. You cannot travel. You can, no. So though they are both permanent residency visa, they choose 190 because there is an additional 5 points. No, for example, you are 65 points. You want to get nominated by Victoria. Victoria will add up 5 points uh, in your points so that you will be nominated. So that's the difference between the 189 and 190. Substantially, there is no one visa is not superior than the other. Okay, they are both permanent residency visa, and if you are holding that visa for 4 years, then you can apply for the Australian citizenship. Subclass 489 and 4910, when the visa starts with number 4, it is temporary. So 482, 475, 489, 491. So it can either be a relative or territory sponsored visa. That is where your relative comes in. If you are short of points and if your relative uh, is living in a regional area, they can give you 10 points if you are short of points. But that is a temporary visa. If you are not short of points because you have like 65 points, so and you have 189, 190, you don't need the relative for you to give 10 points or for you to get nominated by your relative. Okay, so those are the visa options. We have the permanent residency visa and we have the temporary residency visa for you. let's look at the timeline of your application. So from engagement to result of your skills assessment, so give yourself 6 months, because today when you engage us, so I'm going to send all the papers and you're going to write the narrative, you're going to review for Pearson test of English, then we're going to submit them when it is complete. So 3 months period for skills assessment at Engineers Australia. So all in all, it's 6 months. It's fast. Now, the invitation after that is indefinite. Sometimes it is fast, sometimes it is slow, but definitely it will come. Okay, so that's why I urge my clients to be patient. I tell my clients to be patient all the time while waiting for the invitation, because when it comes, once it comes, then I will lodge it. The visa outcomes of residency is a minimum of 12 months. Now let's have a look at the costs and charges of migration. So here we have the government costs and we have the processing fee. The government costs are payable to the Australian government or third-party organization. So it will not go to RPS. So we are going to pay the government or the third-party organization for their service. So for example, Pearson Test of English, you're going to pay the testing center. Engineers Australia, once we lodge it, so 1,320 Australian dollars. So Australian dollars is like 38 pesos per dollar. So we're going to pay Engineers Australia once we lodge it. Okay. The permanent visa, you're going to pay that for single applicant once you get invited and once you are going to lodge your permanent residency. Okay, so you're not going to pay that upfront. What you're going to do is pay that on schedule. We are going to tell you when to pay, what to pay, and how to pay. All right. So with the processing fee at RPS Migration, we are on progressive billing. Being engineers yourself, you know the progressive billing is. So we are getting paid on the work that we did, no, that we have done. Say, for example, the acceptance fee is 50,000 pesos. We are going to send you all the requirements, the assessment, and everything. And then the next payment for me is after 6 months, once you get your skills assessment outcome, another 50,000 on that. And then the last payment for me is when you get invited. And again, that is indefinite, and that is the last payment for me, which is 100,000 pesos. So all in all, my fee is 200,000 pesos for my service, payable on progressive billing. And then that's why my clients love me, because there is a development in their application. If there is nothing happening in your application, I'm not sending you an invoice. Okay, so these are the costs and charges for engineers. You have to grab it now because the fees are not yet changing. So how are our engineers after getting their residency? As you can see, they are buying their houses, they are buying their cars, and of course, the education of kids, no? The education of kids, and if you want to upgrade your skill, you're dependent. So we have lots of support coming from the government. If you are a first home owner, then you will receive a house grant of $10,000. Look at the homeowner. The homeowner is very young at the age of 27. He has his own house. When he was in the Philippines, he didn't have any house of his own or a car of his own. But when he migrated to Australia, found a job, then the government helped him secure his own home. So he was given a 10,000 house grant, no, by the government. So and you can also be that kind of person, because you have invested in yourself in coming to Australia. And once you stayed in Australia, live here, work here for 4 years, no, for 4 years, then you have the chance to become an Australian citizen. Okay, so I'm very happy because you will become a registered engineer here in Australia. You are a permanent resident leading to Australian citizenship. You are working in your field, or you have come up with another business because you are one of us. You are living with your family, and you have your own house and car, house that. So I am very happy to see you grow here in Australia, to change your life 100%. And imagine the amount of investment that you have just made, and you are getting this return of investment. This is definitely the one that you are looking for in your life, and RPS is here to help you in every step of the way, and be part of our growing family here in Australia. So how to start? So all you need to do is to send me a WhatsApp of +61 415 831 158. I am going to send to you as well the quotation. So once you receive the quotation, there is a button there to accept it, and we can also chat in that the quotation, because that is very interactive. You're going to fill out the engagement form that I'm going to send you, and then once the deposit has been made in our nominated bank account, I am going to include it definitely in the next available intake, send you all the requirements, and this is fast. You need to be fast because you have to grab this opportunity that Australia is still open for engineers. Again, thank you so much. This is your registered migration agent, Trinante Sulit, with MARA number 1382407. Okay, so I'm going to help you if you are going to help yourself. Thank you so much. Bye bye.